Sí, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Neri, ¿me escucha ahí? Sí, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sí, 1, 2, 3. ¿Me escuchan ahí? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sigue haciendo preaudio. No te mira cómo me escuchan ahí. Escúchame ahí. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sí, no, pero coño. Ya, todo bien, sin problema.
Continúa ahí hablando de cabina de idioma. ¿Se escucha en el moderador?
¿Eh? Tengo que lucirme en este. De aquí para la televisión.
¿Puede hablar?
¿Ya? ¿Podemos? Sí, estoy haciéndolo, estoy respondiendo. ¿Se escucha? ¿Se escucha o no se escucha?
Ok. Entonces, cabina se escucha, moderador se escucha. Master, ¿estamos listos? Póngale el mute ahí, por favor, que tiene mucho avance.
Bienvenidos al Foro Regional Asia-Pacífico, como parte del encuentro virtual. Ya.
Ya creo que está bien.
Bien, pongo mute.
Sí, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Coño, yo lo había quitado.
Hola, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, prueba de sonido.
Bienvenidos.
Welcome to the Asia-Pacific Regional Forum that is part of the online international meeting of solidarity has been summoned by the Association of Workers of Cuba, the political organizations, the mass organizations, the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples, and the people at large. Greetings to all those who have joined us on May Day, International Workers' Day. May this be a May Day of solidarity and friendship. Traditionally, friends of Asia and the Pacific have joined the parade with the Cuban people in the historic José Martí Revolution Square. This year, the scenario for solidarity is in the social media, and through them we shall share with representatives of trade union, farmers, youth organizations, leaders and friends of Association of Friendship with Cuba and different countries of Asia and the Pacific. This May Day celebration in Cuba is also to reaffirm the support of the Cuban people to the new political leadership of the Communist Party after its 8th Congress, the Congress for Unity and Continuity. Army General Raúl Castro and the historical leadership of the revolution entrusted the new generation with the future of the homeland, with the conviction of guarantee and without hesitation, or the right leadership of Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez as first secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party in Cuba and President of the Republic. To the Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro Ruz, mastermind of the Cuban Revolution and the solidarity of Cuba towards the world, we devote this panel of solidarity. We shall broadcast this footage, and we pay tribute to his legacy. We shall remember him in the Asia and the Pacific.
Si tengo un hermano, hermano que arde, hermano mestizo, hermano de hambre, empapo mis himnos con luz de su baile, tiñó mi bandera también de su sangre. Si tengo un hermano, si tengo un hermano.
Yo creo que dejamos la huella que dejan los cubanos donde quiera que pase.
Mucho amor, mucha amistad, mucho cariño, mucho respeto.
Me llevo la experiencia de que nuestra Cuba es conocida en el mundo entero por nuestra lucha.
La satisfacción de poder ayudar a tanta gente y de la forma que lo estamos haciendo, que es gratuitamente.
Uno siente que todo lo que hemos recogido durante los años de estudio tiene un porqué y sirve para algo, ¿no? Creo que algo muy especial y es salvar vidas humanas.
Un día dije que nosotros no podíamos ni enviaríamos nunca realizaríamos ataques preventivos y sorpresivos contra ningún oscuro rincón del mundo, pero que en cambio nuestro país era capaz de enviar los médicos que se necesiten a los más oscuros rincones del mundo. Médicos y no bombas.
The U.S. blockade against Cuba has been strengthened during the pandemic, and this is an act of genocide. To get to know about the damage caused by this political action, we have in our forum with the message by Santiago Badilla González, representative of the National Trade Union of Health Workers. Good morning. Dear comrades, participating in this forum of solidarity versus blockade against Cuba, greetings from Cuban soul. We celebrate in National Workers' Day, anteceded by the prior celebration of the Party Congress, and this is the determination to take the revolution forward with the unity of all Cuban patriots. Its agreements are a guideline for the workers in the implementation of the deep changes that we have set for ourselves as part of the update of the economic and social model of sustainable development. We Cuban workers are aware of the fact that we face a complex and challenging scenario characterized by the criminal and inhumane economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed unilaterally by the U.S. government for over 60 years. This system of sanctions, that is the most severe and prolonged system ever applied against a country. Specifically, in the health sector, it has caused losses for $188.3 million. This expresses the suffering of Cuban families and in spite of the efforts of our state trying to look for alternatives to fight for lives. They see their loved ones in pain because they do not have state-of-the-art technology or cancer meds that are owned by the U.S. government. Just to place some examples to illustrate my words, Cuba, this important company for the health sector, contacted over 70 U.S. companies to explore the possibility of importing equipment, medications, and other inputs. Most of them did not respond, and 3 responded that they could not establish commercial links with Cuban entities due to the blockade. After International, we requested the arterial lines, fillers, catheters for hemodialysis for small children, pediatric dialysis equipment, and other children or equipment for kidney failure, and they refused to do so because it was requested by Cuban Nutrition. Refused to hand over nutritional meds, mostly to handle nutritional disorders, mostly in children. They said that as a result of the Title III of the blockade, they could not do so. Avianca Airline does not accept cargo towards Cuba, and there was a delay in the delivery of meds, and in the end we had to spend more than we contracted. The humane vocation of the health workers, in spite of that, make possible that Cuba is showing health indicators that are similar to developed countries, and we have a system that is free of charge, universal, accessible, and with endless resources, human resources. We, of course, favor humanism and solidarity when it comes to the training of these human resources. Cuba is an underdeveloped country with very scarce economic resources under the world economic crisis. In spite of that, we have important results when it comes to tackling the COVID pandemic. In the first report in the world, we came up with the commission to control it with the design of a work strategy that is cross-cutting in order to minimize the negative effects of the pandemic and the health of Cuban workers and its impact on the economic and social factors. Its success lies on the comprehensive work and having to do with the strengthening of epidemiological surveillance, primary care in all centers where we have suspicious cases. The diagnosis, care, and biosafety are required for health personnel. This indicates the will of a social system that puts at the core the human beings. I'm proud to highlight the 2 important elements that consolidate the Cuban strategy to tackle the pandemic. The first one has to do with the 94.2% of patients who have been treated with COVID have recovered, and they show the highest rate of this indicator in Latin America. The second item has to do with the 5 vaccine candidates that will enable us to immunize the Cuban population during this year, and it proves the result and the work of our scientists. Internationalism. We have saved lives, and we has been deeply rooted in Cuban soul since the very triumph of the revolution as early as 1963. We started medical cooperation worldwide when we sent a medical brigade to the Republic of Algeria. Ever since, over 400,000 health workers have served in over 60 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa, Middle East, Asia, and Europe. These services are provided to countries that request these services to the Cuban government because they do not have enough personnel on the regular situations or crises, and they want to reinforce specialties, or they need to provide health care in areas that are isolated where local doctors refuse to go. That's why the high impact when it comes to the population that has been treated. We have to highlight the miracle mission that set a landmark to in the recognition of the Cuban medicine. In September 2005, our commander-in-chief, Fidel Castro Ruz, decided to create a brigade of specialized doctors to provide assistance to the United States after it was hit by Katrina hurricane, with 1,600 doctors who were willing and ready to tackle this, but the U.S. government refused to do so, and they preferred to have this disaster on and on. The contingent that includes doctors, nurses, health technicians was named after Henry Reeve, a U.S. brigadier of the Cuban Liberation Army in the 19th century. By complying with the legacy and solidarity, we have been able to assist to mitigate the effects of the pandemic in several world countries. 57 medical brigades that are part of this Henry Reeve Brigade have worked in 40 countries, although the media machinery has tried to minimize its accomplishments. Our doctors and nurses have left behind lessons of humanism and solidarity. The brigade has been working or present in 62 countries, and 28 brigades have faced the effects of 16 floods, 8 hurricanes, 8 earthquakes, and 4 epidemics. Cuban authorities and international authorities highlight especially the way they tackle Ebola in Iberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea-Conakry. Today, there are 25 brigades in 24 countries, and so far they have treated over 1.3 million patients, and we have saved 30,808 lives. Friends all, Cubans shall continue to expose our solidarity worldwide that is at the core of our socialist revolution. We thank the numerous solidarity movements that support Cuba, especially those who made the proposal to award the Nobel Prize to our brigade. And just the fact that they made this proposal is a source of joy for us. Cuba shall continue to provide its most important resources, the human resources, to those countries who are in need. We're convinced that this forum of solidarity shall contribute to consolidate unity and also the coordination in favor of the noble causes of humankind. United we shall prevail. I thank you all.
Gracias.
We thank Dr. Badia for his work, and we also thank all healthcare workers for their lofty and sensitive work, both in Cuba and abroad. We take advantage of this opportunity to express a message of solidarity to all our friends who join us through the internet, and also those who have not been able to join us due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In light of this world crisis, we should reinforce cooperation and get rid of selfishness that prevent cooperation in all areas. In order to grant the floor to participants in this online forum, we grant the floor to Tang Quỳnh Mai Dung, Foreign Affairs Secretary of the Vietnamese Workers' Confederation. The links between Cuba and Vietnam's workers' federations is long-standing, and we cooperate following the principles of solidarity and transparency. In our dialogue, we will also listen to the General Trade Union Federation of Korea, and this message will be read out by Ril Il-gyu from the Embassy of Korea to Cuba. We will always remember Kim Il-sung, who welcomed Comrade Fidel Castro in March 1986, thus proving the long-standing friendship between Cuba and Korea. Let's listen now to the words by Vietnam and Korea.
Thưa các đồng chí và các đại biểu tham dự cuộc gặp quốc tế với chủ đề đoàn kết,
Comrades,
trung tâm những người lao động Cuba tổ chức. Hôm nay tôi rất vui mừng được đại diện cho Đoàn Chủ tịch Tổng Liên đoàn Lao động Việt Nam
and over 10.5 million members of the Vietnamese trade unions are taking part in this international event. First of all, allow me to send you the warmest greetings to all comrades. Dear comrades, throughout the years, the Vietnamese trade unions has witnessed the development and efforts of the Cuban Central Workers Union to protect the rights and interests of Cuban workers. We are really delighted with the achievements you have fulfilled, and we wish the Cuban workers' movement and trade unions a better life for workers and more sovereignty and prosperity for the Cuban people, and that you continue working for the development, peace, and the strengthening of trade unions. We congratulate the Central Cuban Workers Union, and I'm sure that these achievements and advance Cuba has experienced is also part of the work by trade unions. We would like to express our admiration to the various generations of trade union leaders that have contributed to the construction of a socialist Cuba. We believe that current efforts by the Cuban Central Workers Union will continue to yield positive results and contributing to the strengthening of trade unions. On the occasion of this important event and on behalf of Cuban workers and trade unions, I once more reiterate our position, which is to continue strengthening the friendship and links between the Cuban and Vietnamese workers and trade unions towards a better future. And like Fidel Castro once said, for Vietnam, Cuba is willing to shed its blood. We believe that the Cuban Central Workers Union, with its role and influence, will help in the strengthening of the friendship and cooperation between the General Vietnamese Confederation of Workers and the Cuban Central Workers Union. We wish you a lot of success, and I especially wish that the friendship that joins our two countries will continue to grow and that our trade unions build a stronger relationship. Dear Ulises Gilarte de Nacimiento, General Secretary of the Cuban Central Workers Union, brothers and sisters from the world taking part in this event, I'm Ril Il-gyu, the political counselor of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea to Cuba, I bring a message of solidarity to Cuba in order to raise our voices to express our unwavering support and solidarity to the Cuban people that is fighting for its fair cause for over 60 years against the U.S. blockade. And we reject all sorts of unilateral coercive measures imposed by the Western world to hinder the normal or regular development of peoples. We send our warm greetings to all workers from the world taking part in this celebration of May Day. We also send our support to or express the support of Korean workers with the Cuban people in its struggle against the U.S. blockade. The empire, through the blockade, we join our voices to those of all progressive forces in the world to demand the end of the U.S. blockade against Cuba. Today, the Korean people, despite the blockade imposed by the empire, is achieving great success in the construction of its socialist economy and complying with the 5-year plan. And we follow our leader and support him in his work to maintain the solidarity and the unity of our people and for maintaining the spirit of our former leaders. We reiterate that we will continue to fight alongside Cuban workers to defend socialism, while we express our steadfast position of strengthening our solidarity and cooperation with all workers and progressive peoples of the world in the construction for a better and more equitable world. The long-standing links between our two nations will continue to develop under the leadership of Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, First Secretary of the Cuban Communist Party, and Kim Jong-un, Secretary General of the Workers' Party of Korea. Long live May Day, long live socialism in Cuba and Korea. Down with the blockade. Thank you very much.
Our appreciation to the messages of support to Cuba and its revolution, solidarity, greetings from the Cuban people. We are joined to Korea and Vietnam mostly in the month of April. This is the same month and the triple defeat for the Yankee imperialism, the 106th anniversary of the birth of Kim Il-sung, who led his people to the final victory. The 60th anniversary of the Cuban victory during the Bay of Pigs invasion and the 46th anniversary of the liberation of South Vietnam. Now, we shall give the floor to several friends, female friends, representative of women in the Asia-Pacific region, and they have had their own place within society with their braveness and devotion to the causes of the people. In the international context, women continue to fight for their emancipation, and Cuba is a permanent source of inspiration for that. The solidarity among women from the world leads to the creation of alliances for the acknowledgement and respect for their rights. I'm honored to acknowledge the Director General of the Liaison Department of the Women National Federation of China, Mu Zun, the representative of the Coordinating Committee from the South Asia region, a member of the Movement for Land and Agrarian Reform Sri Lankan, our friend Anuka de Silva. Also with us, the chairwoman of the Pakistani chapter of International Women Alliance, Asrat Alak Sayed, and from the Philippines, headquarters of the venue of the 8th Regional Solidarity Meeting with Cuba, we have our friend Gina Catano de la Cruz, She's also the head of the Cultural Association and Friendship Association Philippines, Cuba. You have the floor.
促进两国人民友谊的重要力量。我们一贯主张尊重各国自主选择社会制度和发展道路，坚定支持古巴走符合本国国情的社会主义道路，支持古巴捍卫主权、反对外来干涉的正义斗争。我们高兴地看到，在古巴共产党的领导下，古巴人民团结奋斗、开拓进取，取得了社会主义革命和建设的伟大胜利，赢得了国际社会的广泛尊重和赞誉。在两党、两国历代领导人的精心培育和大力推动下，中古人民的友谊历久弥新，不断发展。让我们弘扬传统友谊，深化交流合作，共同为世界繁荣稳定，为推动构建人类命运共同体做出积极的贡献。祝会议圆满成功。
Hello, my Cuban comrades. I'm really glad to send my greetings for you for the 82 Workers' Union Federation anniversary and also the 8th conference of the Communist Party and also our special one about the Cuban Revolution. We're really glad to send our greetings for you. And also as a South Asian workers, we are facing similar issue in all over the world, like especially about the who's working in the factories, who's working in the government service, who's working in the private sector. We all have a huge issue about our rights, because the capitalism didn't care about the people's right, especially the workers' right. In that case, we all come together to fight against the capitalism. And also I like to say, as a Lavia campesina, as a pheasant farmer, we also facing same issue we are working in the rural area. We have a same issue about as a workers in our field, especially who's producing the food for the world, but still we have a struggling with get our land rights and also the natural resources in these all kind of things. We really glad to say, as Lavia Campesina says, as our mindset, it's like a food sovereignty is the real solution for our struggle. This is the main way to live. This is our challenge to our solution for the capitalism. Again, I really like to share our solidarity with you, because we all know we cannot win without you. Like together we shall win. This is the reality of the world. We really need to come together to destroy enemies. We really need to destroy the capitalism and destroy the neoliberal models in here. Especially as a workers, we are facing a lot of threat for the WTO, IMF, and they all trying to control our rights. They all try to control our life. It's mean we really need to come together, and we really need to work together. And it's mean we really like to say we have a more love for you, especially for the Cuban Revolution, because it is our hope to win. Thank you everyone to bring this winning point to until now. It's like a very long history we have. We really glad to our Cuban friends, our Cuban comrades, to bring this opportunity, bring this reality for the world, because people thinks we cannot win, but Cuba give an answer for everyone. We know without revolution we cannot move. It's mean we have to come together and we have to fight against the capitalism. Thank you, Cuba, to fighting against the capitalism. We all with you. Together we shall win. Viva workers, viva Cuba, viva la via campesina.
Dear comrades, dear sisters at the Federation of Cuban Women, militant greetings from the International Women's Alliance, or EVA as we call it. I am Azrat Alat Saeed from Pakistan, the chair of EVA. We at EVA send our heartiest militant greetings to the Federation for Labor Day on May 1st. We stand with you in your struggles for the proletariat women. Cuba is an inspiration to all militant movements fighting for a just and lasting peace, for women's liberation, for women's emancipation. With imperialist countries increasing and intensifying their militarized exploitation and oppression of the people, there is an urgent need for a strong global women's movement, and we hold you among our comrades. Long live international solidarity. Long live people's solidarity.
On behalf of the Philippines-Cuba Cultural and Friendship Association, or PhilCuba, I would like to extend our warmest solidarity greetings to the Cuban workers and the whole of the Cuban people in celebrating the International Labor Day through a strengthened resolve for the dismantling of the blockade that strangles the Cuban people for so long. President Biden should stop the blockade now and correct a long drawn-out injustice to the Cuban people. On February 3 next year, Kennedy's proclamation that declared total embargo on trade between U.S. and Cuba in compliance with the amended Foreign Assistance Act will be in its 60th year. This embargo, which is practically a blockade, went on from administration to administration, regardless if it was Republican or Democrat. It has caused severe hardship among the people. Cuba has been deprived not only of big revenue and the chance to develop further, but also the chance to save some lives, as the blockade also meant depriving Cuban access to medicines critical for some illnesses. For a time, it meant hunger for many, as it prevented Cuba from buying food. In many cases, it even prevented talented Cubans from receiving cash, awards they have won. Furthermore, countries or foreign entities that do business with Cuba were sanctioned. The U.S. policymakers miscalculated the response of the Cuban people. They thought they would rebel against their own government, but they proved them wrong. Thus, during Trump's presidency, it adopted more than 200 measures reinforcing the blockade, including the activation of the Title III of the Helms-Burton Act. Cuba stands ahead in terms of providing social protection to its people and helping people of other countries in epidemic situations or disaster situations. If this country that has long been subjected to a cruel blockade could send medical brigades to some 50 countries and train thousands to become doctors in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and even in the United States. This country and its people could have done a lot more had the U.S. not interfered. Once again, we salute the determination of the revolutionary Cuban people. A salute and warm hugs to Cuba's health workers and the scientists developing vaccines and medicines. Abajo el bloqueo, Cuba libre, hasta la victoria siempre.
Agradecemos.
Our appreciation for these solidarity messages in which they have highlighted the work of Cuba in the fight for the empowerment of women in spite of the fact of the blockade causing problems with the Cuban families.
La plaza amaneció con luz de sol en sus farolas y en la avenida un viento azul. Manos se juntaron en la calle y las aceras, la voz se hizo multitud.
Balcones y portales se hacen eco de banderas, un tiempo nuevo abraza el porvenir.
Multicolor la marcha de gigantes que se empeñan, semilla imprescindible en su raíz. Mambisa y soberana va, la isla que precisa erguida frente al temporal, airosa va retando al mar. Mambisa y soberana va, la isla que precisa andar, erguida frente al temporal, airosa va retando al mar.
From the social media, greetings to Ramzan Puhal, the president of the Forum Pakistan Cuba. His solidarity with Cuba has been constant in his work, and he has broadcast several ideas. He has shared information with the Pakistani people, and also its claim to put an end to the blockade. From the Republic of Korea, Kim Seo-do, director of the Labor Institute, Sean Tanil, he sent his greetings to support the Cuban Revolution. This organization is always with us in the May Day Brigade, and this year he is on the social media. I have a friend from Australia, the president in Laos for several years. He presided over the Friendship Association with Cuba in Canberra, and he stands in solidarity from any country in the world. We have the member of the Australian Association of Solidarity with Cuba. We have greetings also from the Asian students who are studying in the province of Cienfuegos. Solidarity greetings to all of them. We trust they shall become very well-known professionals to take care of their own peoples and also to honor the legacy of Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro. Rigoberto Salsa, long live the solidarity working class. As well, our medical cooperation. In Asia, we have over half of the world population. We have many friends there who see in this island a source of light and friendship and hope. We have another message, long live Cuba. Ian Calma sends greetings to Cubans all. Ahendra Kaka from the Association of Friendship Nepal, Cuba is also sending greetings. These greetings and other greetings, we get them from the social media in support to the fair cause of the Cuban Revolution and also to the Cuban Workers Union and also in support of the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples and in support of the Cuban mass organizations and all the Cuban sectors, the health sectors that are rendering their services in our country to fight against the pandemic, not only in Cuba, but also abroad. I would like to reiterate messages to support Cuba, coming from different students and different nations, mostly from Asia and Pacific. The solidarity movement in Cuba in the region of Asia and Pacific has been present since the very same time of the Cuban Revolution. Today, this movement is grouping 108 organizations, and they're still challenging the blockade against Cuba because it's criminal and extraterritorial character. This obsolete policy is rejected by the international community, and our friends have joined this world claim. Now I'd like to give the floor to Nahendra Karka, member of the Permanent Committee of the Farmers Organization in Nepal. Now, the Cuban doctors went to Nepal after the earthquake that hit the population in 2015, and the bonds of friendship are everlasting. Next, we will have greetings from the Cuba-Japan Friendship Association, the first association created in Japan in 1963. And since 1995, they have been awarded the Order of Solidarity. We shall listen to Dr. Mizushiro Kuro, professor from the Technological University of Tokyo and a great friend of Cuba. Next, we shall give the floor to Bihai Kumar Padigari, president of the Indian Society for Cultural Cooperation and Friendship, organization that groups intellectuals, workers, and farmers from different states of India. Its members have been active to condemn the unfair U.S. blockade that affects all sectors of the Cuban society and tries to suffocate our nations and other nations. Also with us, we have the message of Tegun Santosa, journalist and founder of the political news agency, Independent Republic, who have organized and participated in different spaces to support the fair causes of Cuba and other world nations. From Bangladesh, we also receive greetings from Dr. Hamdi Khan, from the Global Farming Group, who represents the Tricontinental Campaign in solidarity with Cuba and Bangladesh. These friends have organized different solidarity events, and they have participated several times in the Brigade of Solidarity Mayday. Now we shall give them all the floor.
Dear comrades and friends, revolutionary greetings from Nepal. Cuba is a country of long history of a struggle against colonialism and imperialism. Cuba is a land of revolution and independence. It is the land of Céspedes, José Martí, Commandante Fidel Castro, Comrade Che Guevara, and many patriotic heroes and heroines. The socialist revolution in Cuba has liberated the Cuban people from the chains of exploitation and oppression. The construction of socialism has guaranteed the basic human rights of the Cuban people. The advancement of Cuba in education, medical, and agriculture sector is appreciated all over the world. The unity of the Cuban people and international solidarity are so consolidated that the imperialist forces cannot even dream of invading Cuba. Socialism is a system of majority of the people. It is based on the collective interest of the human being. It has its golden future and a new level to achieve, that is communism. As Lenin said, the capitalism has reached its highest level, the stage of imperialism. It has no future and it cannot survive a fair competition with socialism. This is why the imperialist forces try to obstruct the path of socialist construction through military intervention if possible. If not, they apply blockades and economic sanctions. The 6-decade-long sanctions and blockade against Cuba and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea are the real-time examples today. The people of Cuba and the DPRK faced all the bitter consequences of the blockade, but did not surrender to the imperialism and held it. The socialist governments tried their best to defy blockade and provide all the services and facilities to their people and proved the supremacy of socialism over profit-mongering capitalism. The blockade has violated the human rights of all the people in Cuba. There is a short supply of essential and medical goods due to this multi-decade-long blockade. Nobody deserves any right to obstruct the path of socialism and challenge the sovereignty of any other countries. Sovereign people deserve the right to choose their own political and governing system. This is why I strongly denounce the illegitimate, immoral, and unjustified imperialist blockade against the socialist Cuba and heartily salute the courage and deterrent spirit of the Cuban people to counter and defy them. I also denounce the unilateral withdrawal of the U.S. from the Cuba-U.S. agreement and reject their attempt to implement Article 3 of the Helms-Burton Act to destroy the achievements of the triumph of revolution. I demand for immediate upliftment of the blockade and all the economic sanctions against Cuba and to establish diplomatic relations with the Cuban Republic. I express my solidarity with the Communist Party of Cuba, with the Government of Cuba, Workers' Central Union of Cuba, CTC, the ANAP, the ICAP, Youth and Women Organizations, Medical Brigades, GRANMA, the Cuban News Agency, Prensa Latina, along with all the institutions which are driving the anti-imperialist movement to a new height, and all the workers, peasants, and revolutionary people of Cuba. From the land of the Mount Everest, on behalf of the people of Nepal, who were never ever had been defeated by the colonial forces in the history, I want to assure all the Cuban brothers and sisters that you are not alone. We, the revolutionary people of Nepal, are always with you in all of your struggles because we have the same goal to achieve and the same enemy to defeat. Viva Cuba, viva el socialismo, viva la unidad de los pueblos, viva la solidaridad. Comandante Fidel Castro, siempre viva en nuestras mentes y corazones. With this, I conclude my solidarity message with red greetings and love. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
親愛なるイカップ・フェルナンド・ゴンザレス・ジョルト総裁様並び
My best wishes for the success of May Day as economic globalization moves forward in many countries of the world. I think our acts of denial of human rights are increasingly important, like discrimination, repression, and terror regimes against people on top of poverty and economic disparity. Denial of human rights not only threatens world peace, but it also leads to the violation or the denial of a future society that should be sustainable and should not be overlooked. It means that the solution to the problems of human rights have become a priority that is common, urgent, and is a top priority for humanity, surpassing the difference among social systems. Also, with the establishment of human rights for workers, I have to say that this is at the core of it. To solve this problem, it's indispensable to stand in solidarity with people from all over the world. Since ICAP was founded in 1960, it has been standing with solidarity with the people who respect world peace and human rights to solve this important problem. That is to say, as part of the COVID-19, they are trying to move forward no matter what. Such brave facts are acclaimed by the entire world, and they encourage people from all over the world to work and to respect human rights, especially with the establishment of workers' rights. On this May Day celebration, it seems to me this is of special importance to strengthen solidarity, since workers from all over the world are forced to problems or faced with problems to try to fight against COVID-19, and they're facing problems with human rights. On behalf of the Cuba-Japan Friendship Association, I would like to pay tribute to the achievements reached by ECAP. I would like to pray for the success of this May Day that shall take place in spite of the disaster caused by COVID-19. I would like to convey greetings on behalf of the Association of Friendship Japan Cuba. This has been a message by Masashiro Kuro, again President of the Association of Friendship Japan Cuba. Again, I would like to pay tribute to the achievements reached by ECAP, and again I would like to say that I pray for the success of this May Day celebration that shall be held in spite of the disaster caused by COVID-19. I thank you.
Friends and comrades, today is May Day. On the eve of May Day, I want to greet you all. My red salute to all the members of the Workers' Central Union of Cuba, CTC, Cuban Institute of Friendship with the People, ICAP, and the revolutionary people of Cuba. My red salute to you all. May Day teaches us we shall fight and we shall win. Our struggle will be fruitful. We will overcome all hurdles someday. We shall win the battle against US imperialism. Ultimately, Cuba will win. Friends, we the people of India always stood with the fighting people of Cuba and its beloved leader Fidel Castro since 1959 revolution. We condemned all the inhuman and heinous activities of US imperialism against Cuba. Friends and comrades, our organization, Indian Society for Cultural Cooperation and Friendship, ISCAP, organized several meetings, demonstrations, seminars in India against US imperialism to lift economic embargo imposed on Cuba and express our solidarity with the fighting people of Cuba. US imperialism is not respecting world public union and international demand to lift economic embargo, even when world is facing the COVID pandemic. Friends, you will be astonished to know that the US also imposed sanctions on the import of raw materials for the production of a COVID vaccine to India. It is shame. This criminal attitude of USA imperialism is vehemently opposed and condemned by the people of India. Friends, you see, today, in this auspicious day, all the people of the world should come together and fight US imperialism to save mankind. We strongly demand to lift economic embargo imposed on Cuba immediately. We request new leadership of Cuba, and also Cuba to fight against USA imperialism. And also simultaneously I request new leadership of USA to consider and respect humanism and respect world public opinion to lift economic embargo imposed on Cuba. Long live India-Cuba friendship. Long live ISCOP and ICA friendship. Red salute to Comrade Fidel Castro. Red salute. Red
My dear brothers and sisters, people of Cuba and the international community. From Indonesia, I would like to send a message to the people of Cuba who believe that the working class is an important element of the world civilization and peace. For more than a year, we have been living with the COVID-19 pandemic. It is an unprecedented troubled time for us. And yet, on the other hand, it opens up opportunities to increase our capacity and solidarity in fighting the pandemic. We see that the Cuban government and the Cuban people are working hard through these difficult times, serving people in the health sector and strengthening the foundation of politics. Brothers and sisters, in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are still witnessing the arrogance of certain parties who feel they have the right to impose their power on other parties whom they consider weak and powerless. For this reason, on the occasion of the International Workers' Day, with the Cuban people, I demand the United States government to end the criminal, immoral, and unjustified economic, commercial, and financial blockade against Cuba. I believe it is the time for the United States to change their mentality and perspective and move forward to develop positive relations with the rest of the world, including Cuba. Long live Cuba, long live international solidarity. Thank you.
Thanks for the virtual meeting of solidarity by the Workers' Central Union of Cuba, CTC, together with the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the People's ICAP, for April 30 and May 1, 2021. Really, we are so happy for participating in the auspicious international event, and warmest thanks for invitation. Every year, the remarkable day brings an important message to the world progressive peoples. And thousands of delegates from 100 countries attend this gathering to shout a slogan, to raise their hands against imperialism. Unfortunately, this year, like the year 2020, not in a gathering, but our assembly in virtual meeting is going to make global message. The message is to make global solidarity with Cuba, to enhance the slogan, Unblock Cuba, Hands Up Cuba. Agriculture of Cuba and its impact on the blockade of imperialism is very urgent due to the food security of Cuban peoples. But the food sovereignty of Cuba is the highest priority of livelihood of Cuba. But $428 million losses in April 2019 to March 2020 in blockade of USA against Cuba. In production food and difficulties to fuel supply to Cuba caused interruption in agro-food sector. December 2019, 12,399 hectares of land of rice could not sown due to fuel shortage. 3,130 tons of rice stopped production. Now the question, why US block Cuba? Is it humanitarian policy? The question will be answered by the world peoples and needs to enhance global solidarity with the purpose of Cuba. We are proud of fight to free the Cuban five. We all progressive peoples of the world got win. We may again go forward to challenge the imperialism. We, the Global Farming Group for Study of Cuba and Tricontinental Solidarity Campaign for Cuba, always try to enhance the global solidarity with our highest dedication during the struggle of freedom of Cuban fight. We campaigned 40,000 signs to support the freedom of Cuban fight. And in global level of solidarity rising, we exchanged our collaborations with Cuba Solidarity Committee Nepal, Joseph Marti Association of Friendship with Cuba of Turkey, and Kenya Cuba's Friendship Association. They invited us to meet for exchanging views and experiences. We are so hopeful to them for advancing global solidarity with Cuba, and we can be shouted strong the slogan, unblock Cuba, hands off Cuba, return back Guantanamo to Cuba. Thank you all. Thank you all. The great enforcer for the struggle of solidarity with Cuba, long live solidarity with Cuba. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
I would like to thank the representatives of Nepal, Japan, India, Indonesia, and Bangladesh for their heartfelt words of encouragement to continue defending the ideas of social justice, the internationalist thinking of guerrilla fighter Ernesto Che Guevara, and the legacy of the undefeatable Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro. We honor his 95th anniversary and the 5th anniversary of his passing. Fidel was the founder and guidance of scholarship for youth from Asia and Africa, and they wanted to become professionals. To thank Fidel and the Cuban people who harbored them as sons and daughters, we have the messages of Professor Bun Tien, professor and translator, vice president of the Association of Cambodians who graduated in Cuba, and also a young lady from Timor-Leste, Amandina Figueira, graduated from the School of Biology of the Higher Pedagogical Institute Enrique José Barona in Havana.
Vínculos de amistad y solidaridad.
Greetings of solidarity with Cuba. Cuba and Cambodia are friends and brothers from a long time through the creation of the non-aligned movement created by Fidel Castro and Luciano and other leaders of the world. Therefore, today we're marking 61st years of the diplomatic relations between Cuba and Cambodia. As Fidel said, today this is a day of glory that no one can forget. In history, I'm Bun Tien. I graduated in the Higher Pedagogical Institute José Martí in Camagüey. I'm an English teacher. And in 1996, and I got back to Cambodia in early 1997. So I started working at the Cuban Embassy in Phnom Penh until now, as secretary and translator. Not to lose my teaching skills attained in Cuba from the pedagogical standpoint and from the methodological standpoint. I'm also a teacher and also teach English to Cambodian students at the university in Cambodia. This is the most famous universities in Cambodia. To keep the traditional links of friendship and solidarity with Cuba, and to thank the Cuban people, I have to say I'm one of the leaders of the Association of Cambodian Graduates in Cuba. We have done many things to support Cuba as the following. We fight through, for example, we sent letters for the release of the boy Elian Gonzalez. We also fought to release the Cuban 5 who were detained in the United States. And until victory was attained, we also prepared trips, and they attended the different events with ECAP in different countries. We have worked and we have been fighting against the blockade. We have favored the lifting of the blockade because of this genocidal financial economic blockade imposed by the United States. Also, although there is a dangerous situation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, we are with you to support you. You know that you're not alone. There are difficult times, but they're friends and brothers to continue the tradition to mutually support one another. So you can count on us to find solutions for the problems. As Ambassador Lucas says, several people in Cambodia say that solidarity is immune to the viruses. Long live Cuba. Long live friendship and solidarity between Cambodia and Cuba. Long live the Association of Cambodian Students in Cuba, and long live May Day.
En un día tan especial para los trabajadores de Cuba y del mundo.
Special days for workers. I would like to salute you all and to congratulate you for this day. We have to say that this fair blockade imposed for over 60 years, the workers, have been ingenious to take forward any task, even though they do not have all the resources. Teachers, cooks, scientists, every day they try to look for a way out to comply with their duties. They are creative and they celebrate the Workers' Day in Cuba. Our country, Cuba was the second country who established diplomatic relations with Timor-Leste. In 2016, 25 students were sent to Cuba to study and to be trained as teachers. They graduated at the Pedagogical University, Enrique Jose Barona, and they returned to Timor-Leste last year with their degrees. Thanks to this friendship between the two islands, we have learned many things. Apart from subjects at school and from becoming teachers, we learn to get to know human beings. 25 students were sent to be trained as teachers. In 4 years, they graduated at the Pedagogical Institute, and they returned to Timor-Leste last year with their degrees. Thanks to this friendship between the two islands, we have learned many things apart from subjects, and from becoming teachers, we learned with you how to be a human being who helps other people. We learn how to survive, how to coexist, and how to share, and most importantly, how to be a citizen who loves his or her homeland. We have to be proud of our works. All these values, we have them all, and we're going to improve the education standards in Timor-Leste. Happy Workers' Day, and ever onwards to victory. Our appreciation to all youth from the region, students and graduates who still have the feeling of full love for Cuba, who are considered by them as their second home. We have greetings from Timor-Leste, and they're reporting they are present through the social media. Graduates from Cuban Senate from Vietnam. We have Wang Wing Yu. Dear friends, after this fruitful solidarity event today, we're nearing the last segment of this panel. We have friends from the Pacific region who have shortened their geographical distance because they support our fight against the blockade and to return to Cuba, the territory occupied by the naval base in Guantanamo. First, we shall listen to two trade union leaders from Australia. Paddy Klum, the chairman of the Trade Union of the Maritime and the National Federation of Construction, and also another trade union leader from construction sector and chairman of the Association of Friendship with Cuba. Then we shall listen to Michael Trim, director from the trade union Unite from the city of Auckland, New Zealand, and also a member of the Auckland Cuba Friendship Association. I would like to highlight the support to Cuba who they held in front of the U.S. consulate in Auckland. These friends have tried to denounce the policies, and they wanted to make this message their own for this virtual meeting.
Comrade Ulysses, happy May Day from the International Transport Workers Federation, from the Maritime Union of Australia, from the millions of transport workers in every element of transport around the world. Congratulations, congratulations to your Trade Union Council. Congratulations to your government. Congratulations on the history of Cuba in protecting working rights for men and women, just not in Cuba, but throughout the world. But mostly, congratulations on your May Day, one of the great inspirations for working men and women, and their unions, and their associations, and their families, and their struggles in every country of every part of the world. Congratulations, comrade. And to Comrade Diaz, please relay our solidarity and our support and our determination to stand with you for justice, for decent work, for the ability for all working men and women to go to work without discrimination, free of embargo, free of threats and bullying, free of war, live a life of peace and determination and cooperation and solidarity. That's what May Day in Cuba means to working men and women throughout the world. Congratulations, comrade. We're looking forward to continuing the struggle with you in the big steps forward. Please pass on to Comrade Castro our congratulations on his retirement and the fantastic and inspiring leadership and courage that he has shown on behalf of your government for decades in being able to stand up to the international bullying and boycotting. So congratulations to him, congratulations to Comrade Diaz, but most of all to the Cuban trade union movement and all of our comrades, brothers and sisters throughout the world. Viva May Day! Viva Cuba!
Estamos en 3 días de cuarentena.
We are in quarantine after some COVID cases. Dear Comrade Ulysses de Nacimiento, the Secretary of the Cuban Workers Union, I would like to thank ICAP for this invitation to address this meeting in the historic May Day of 2021. I am Dino Molina. I am a trade union organizer in the construction sector in Western Australia and president of the Association of Friendship with Cuba. The land stolen from the indigenous people, sovereignty had never been given up. This shall always be a land from the Aboriginal people. This is a special May Day, and people will celebrate this virtually. And the pandemic has also taught us that the fight of workers is non-stop. The working class shall continue its struggle for, in any means. Allow me to pay tribute and convey tribute to Raul Castro for his work. I wish him success in the years to come. I would like to congratulate the President of the Republic of Cuba for his election as first Secretary of the Central Committee of the party. We are certain that the continuity of the socialist revolution is guaranteed, and the life of workers has changed over the last 14 months. In almost all countries, the working class has been most affected by the world crisis and the pandemic. Neoliberalism contributed to the collapse of the health systems in many countries. The lack of policies that benefit the working class mean that workers are paying for the economic crisis and the health crisis. This is not only happening by the ruling class, expect that the workers are the ones who will pay for it. At the same time, the wealthy people have almost doubled their wealth, while the workers are the ones at the forefront creating wealth and facing the pandemic. In countries like Australia, in spite of the fact that the pandemic has been under control, many workers have been opposed to the rampant capitalism. The policies of the Prime Minister Morrison have left behind many people. Many were forced to go out and work and to get exposed to the virus to pay the rent and food. Unemployment, lack of housing, and access to medical care is a hard reality. This is something that happens every day. The fight for the vaccines have become another means to generate wealth for the pharmaceuticals. And it's well known that the rich countries have accumulated more vaccines than needed, and they oppose to freeze the patents that will enable us to put the vaccines at the disposal of all workers. Cuba has become an example of humanism in spite of the criminal blockade. Cuba has five vaccine candidates, and 2 are in the final stage of the Henry Reeve Brigade renders services, and they stand in solidarity where soldiers with white vests are needed. The blockade on the country is like the virus that is merciless. Over 60 years of economic financial blockade is a crime. The victorious people of Cuba and its government has faced this in a heroic way, but the blockade damages workers and their relatives. The expectations generated after the Biden administration, unfortunately, are just that, expectations. The 242 economic sanctions passed by Donald Trump administration remain untouched. Australian workers, we demand the lifting of the criminal blockade once and for all. In Australia, we join the world demand for the elimination of blockade. On the 17th of each month in Sydney, we protest, we parade against or in front of the U.S. consulate, demanding that Joe Biden is the president that actually lifted the blockade, and they established diplomatic relations for mutual benefits for the 2 countries. Also, we demand the end of the subversive measures against Cuba, that the Guantanamo Bay is returned to its legitimate owners because its sovereignty was never given up. We condemn the inclusion of Cuba in the State Department list of countries sponsoring terrorism. Cuba has been the victim of state terrorism, and this must come to an end. I would like to convey a message of solidarity. To conclude, the worker class should do away with the shackles of oppression. I would like to give my final words to Fidel. Only socialism is capable of transforming the world, and the world we dream of is possible. A better world. Long live May Day. Long live Cuba. Long live solidarity among the world peoples. We shall prevail.
Present unite union and call for an end to the blockade of Cuba, an end to the essentially a permanent economic and social war of aggression against the Cuban people and their government, which have tried to stand up to the US empire and its dictates and tried to govern this nation and the Cuban nation in the interests of working people. All workers around the world have a duty, in my view. All workers' organizations have a duty to protect the Cuban Revolution from these attacks, or try and protect the Cuban Revolution from these attacks, because Cuba has shown through its solidarity with working people across the globe again and again as they struggle for social justice, for freedom, for economic rights, for political rights, for social rights, that the Cuban people and their government are at the forefront of that solidarity, and that includes the very basic things about the right to life. The right to life, the right to access health care, the right to access the basic elements of health care that is denied the vast majority of people of the globe. And Cuba, with only 10 million people, has thousands of medical workers across the globe. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands have worked in solidarity, saved millions of lives, and our duty has to be to return that support and solidarity stronger in the days ahead, because the U.S. empire has never given up. Democratic or Republican, the U.S. empire has never given up. And this change of government will raise some hopes, but we have to push relentlessly, all working people, relentlessly to show the solidarity that Cuba, in order to end the embargo and end it now. Kia ora.
Amigos.
Friends, at a time of struggle, we are called to multiply solidarity, brotherhood, and social justice. We are the hope for millions of human beings that still fight for political, civil, and working rights. We thank all those who have accompanied us in the social networks, those who have provided messages in representation of trade union organizations, farmers organizations. Thank you for answering to our call on behalf of peace and international ideas. The Cuban Revolution is proof that a better world is possible, because individuals are the raison d'être of our revolution, to build our present and move towards our future. While some countries talk about war, we talk about peace. While some believe that everything is lost, we show that there is still hope, and we offer our heart as a symbol of love. With the song I Come to Offer My Heart by Australian friends of the Brisbane Cuba Friendship Society, we close this marvelous space that has enabled us to share as friends the dream and fight for a better world. We welcome May Day together with the party, the CDC, the Cuban people, united by the revolution and by solidarity. Because we are continuity, and our call will always be that together we will prevail.
¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido?
entreabierta